Welcome back to I'm Still Here. I'm Larry.
And I'm Heather. In 1998, at the age of 26, I was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer. It changed everything for us, but I'm still here.
You are, and we are continuing our interviews today.
Boy, what is it today?
Finding what?
What is it today?
Well, we're finding out more about Heather.
Hmm.
And today we are going to talk business.
Okay.
I would doubt that people really know the business side of you. They've definitely heard the cancer side of you, the occupational therapist. We've talked about that a little bit and job stuff, but we haven't talked really about the businesswoman,
Okay.
which I found here. I've been going through this and I wrote down all the titles that you've had.
Oh boy.
Well, I think that's even more than my list. So I'm going to give you my list and you can tell me what I've forgotten.
Okay.
Okay. So this is titles that you hold or have held: daughter, sister, wife, mom, author, speaker, 20 plus year metastatic cancer patient survivor,
Mhm.
occupational therapist, coach, small business owner. What else? What other titles?
I would say entrepreneur. I mean, I get that's part of being a business owner, but
Mm-hmm.
uh,
At heart, that's I think what you are.
yeah, I would agree. Um,
I do too.
I don't know. I mean, that's a pretty good list.
Yeah, I mean, you can always continue the list of titles by other means too, like
And yeah, I was just gonna say, I mean, besides author, I would say writer. I've written for a lot of magazines and
yeah.
published articles and things like that. So it's been more than just like the book that I did publish and the book that I'm working on. Um, so
Okay. So, what small businesses have you started?
um, I mean, uh, I've started quite a few of them. Some of them have been, are more further along than others. But the first one that I started was actually really to speak. So and it's kind of evolved over time. I called it Go Beyond Treatment.
Not
And
really true.
what?
That's not the first one.
Would you like to help me with that?
Well, maybe I'm wrong.
What?
I could be wrong. Were you a speaker or an author first?
Oh, well, I guess the first version of the book was out first. The first
Oh,
thing
okay.
I did was write.
Because that is obviously a small business owner too. I mean, and you learned a ton about that. Holy crap.
Yeah, I mean that's a process. I've been through like different iterations of the book. When I first wrote it, I self-published, and then we kind of went back to I met a small publisher, and we revised it, changed the title, added to it, and republished it over the course of I don't know how many years was in between that. So, but yeah.
Um, so I guess I also, want to know with some of these, it's quite obvious, but why? Why were you an author?
I just felt like I had something to say, and I felt like if it could benefit other people. Again, I think the driving force behind kind of everything I've done from a cancer perspective is I wanted I wish I would have done anything for the information, when I was first diagnosed. There just wasn't much out there. And I mean, I think we all think our story's unique, but mine has been. And I found that it's just something I really have enjoyed. It's kind of in many ways, I think I'm a better communicator, through writing and speaking than even just the day-to-day type of thing sometimes. So I yeah, I've enjoyed it.
Okay. So now you said speaker.
Hmm.
What did you speak about?
Yeah, I've spoken about my breast cancer journey, like where, what has happened to me. But I think also it's evolved into kind of lifestyle habits, mindset type of things. And then, kind of, I've done a lot of different things. My other big passion with speaking is talking to healthcare providers about the impact that their actions and words have on patients. Like I'm so passionate about that. It can be such a trigger for me, but also, I mean, being a healthcare provider myself, I think it's invaluable. It's invaluable. And as many times as people hear it and see it, I just think that I have the ability to convey it in a way that people understand it sometimes. And I don't know. That's really, I know that impacts a lot of people.
Mm-hmm. Keep going.
About what? Those are the
What other businesses?
other
That was
businesses.
the question.
Oh, okay. So rating speaking. And then in 2016, I started a business based on kind of my occupational therapy knowledge. So I developed a weighted hat for kids and adults with sensory needs. The business is called They're Amazing. It it has not grown a lot. I have spent more time on it sometimes in my life than others, but we did a ton of what's that called when you're doing all the different reiterations?
R&D.
R&D, research and design. I mean, we literally created a product that isn't available, coming from the world of occupational therapy and, kids with sensory needs and a lot of like weighted products. Everything that I found had just like sand or sandbags or rice bags or whatever, and I just hated it. And we kind of through our process stumbled upon a few different ideas and ways that, how could we create basically a weighted insert, that can be flexible, huh?
Yeah, go ahead.
That could be flexible and durable. It wouldn't fall apart. It could be cleaned, all of the things varied, and we created it. It took us a long time and some great friends and great partnerships, but that's something that we developed. And when I say we, I mean, you did too. We spent a lot of time on that together. So they're amazing. The weighted products sit under that umbrella, but I also have another product that I haven't really launched much, but with fine motor boxes. So other businesses. So
welcome to my life, people.
yeah, no, I mean, there's just a lot. Like again, I don't know where this will all go, but our COVID project was that we started brewing kombucha, and it quickly became something that we enjoyed, but we realized that if you could make kombucha, you could make hard kombucha, and so we started a business called Coach's Hard Kombucha. We partnered with some friends, and again, we have just kind of been letting that. It's not really, we haven't been doing a lot with it at this point, but I would love to. I continue to pursue it. I think we could blow it up and have a great time with it. So, and make a really great product. So,
Anything else?
I think that's it. I mean, other than
that's all that was on my list too. So.
Yeah. I mean, the next LLC, if there's one coming, would be probably to be an independent contractor so that I was working for myself as an occupational therapist. So that's not a big thing.
So are any of those done or
What?
just on hold? The businesses?
I don't know. I don't
know. What do you want?
In terms of passion, in terms of like my top ones, definitely I want to write and speak in podcast. Those are the things I love. I want to do the kombucha because I think it'd be really fun. the OT things are probably the lowest on my list of things. What I'd like to do is maybe get that to a place that somebody else could take it over, that, you know, and grow it themselves or something like that. So, you know,
That's interesting.
it'd be fun to sell a business someday. So
It's
that's,
interesting because, I mean, truthfully, you still spend the most time on They're Amazing.
I think I spend most time on writing and podcasting and
Oh yeah, that's true.
things.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if podcasting's a business for us yet.
Well, I'm not saying, I think it's part of, I'm not saying it's a business. I think it's part of all of that, right? In terms of establishing yourself and people getting to know you. I mean, you know, and
Mhm.
podcasting is a great way to be able to connect with people. So,
Okay. So definitely three of them. Kind of four of them. I mean, it seems like you're definitely somebody who, and I think I'm similar. Maybe that's why we click. That you see a need and you solve it. You want to find a solution to it. That there's
yeah.
nothing there. You have this need. There's nothing there, and you say now, and that is true of being a speaker. What you wrote
Mhm.
about, it's what you
Mhm.
said. That there wasn't anything out there, so I wanted to put something out there from my perspective,
Yeah.
and obviously the therapy products. That's literally what
Yeah.
there just wasn't good products out there. So
Yeah.
you went to work and found something, and I think the hard kombuchas definitely there was a need. It was COVID, there was a
Clearly a
need.
need.
Yeah.
Definitely a market.
And those people listening out there, do not judge us by what you've drank in any grocery store, because
That's
we
right.
will blow it out of the park. That stuff tastes like crap. All right. So my next question is, how did those businesses evolve from beginning to now? And I get that now they might be on pause even, but
Mhm.
talk us a little bit through, from a entrepreneur standpoint. I see this problem. I want to try to solve this problem. Talk us through a little bit of that process.
Well, I think what you just were referring to is probably the most important part, where it's not, I feel like for me it's energizing or exciting to go, wait, there's a need, we could make a difference. We could change something. We could, you know, put our, you know, conversation into, like, we could be a part of this conversation, I guess would be the, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So um I think what I've learned over time, there's different things with different businesses. So I think what happened when I first started speaking and writing was that I had a good, like, I was good at what I did. I'm a good speaker. I was, you know, when I first started, but I mean, of course you can grow and things like that. But I think, like, there's always been a bit of like this imposter syndrome, right? In terms of, wait a second, I'm not good enough to do this,
Mm.
or people don't want to hear what I have to say, or, you know, when you're working in a business industry like speaking or writing, you're constantly also being asked to do things for free, and you're asked to, so you're always kind of valuing yourself, you know. And I think what's happened to me, as the more that I've done different businesses and even kind of done business as an occupational therapist, in terms of like negotiating wages at different places and things like that, is I've just become more confident with, it's okay, you can want me for free, and I can do that if I want to. But if I don't, I can value, it's okay for me to walk away from things. It's okay for me. I need to value myself, you know. And even
Mm.
just so, that's been a really big lesson for me, I think. And also, like, as far as the imposter syndrome, it's like I just have to kind of put that away. You know what? There, like, sure, some people might be better than me, or some people might be something else, but like, I am who I am, and I bring what I bring, you
Yeah.
know?
Oh,
So
no doubt.
um I think yeah, I think women tend to struggle with that more than men do, but that's been definitely something I've learned through those businesses. Um, through They're Amazing, I learned everything else. I learned literally because
It's not really the question.
what?
I really want to know, I mean, how did your businesses evolve, not what you learned,
Hmm.
which is a different question, I think.
Well, I think so.
Because some people don't know there's an evolution in a business.
Yeah, I don't know what I mean. I guess with that, have they evolved? I mean, they have evolved, but not. They haven't like grown substantially. So
No, but there's other reasons for that, I think. I mean, yeah, we'll get to that. But
okay, so like with They're Amazing though, in terms of evolving, it literally started with, like I said, an idea, some partnership with a startup, like what's that called? A co-working situation, which I found that most places have them. There are business accelerators. Their job is to help small businesses bring an idea to fruition. So a lot of that was just learning the ins and outs of what a business would need. There were definitely some missteps, and I think a lot of them along the way. Sometimes what it evolved in a way that, or maybe we did things that I didn't feel great about, that I should have been stronger in listening to myself about. Um, it I learned it's I don't know. Again, the word evolve to me is difficult. Like, we started with nothing, we now have a product, you know. um Along the way was a lot of different things, and it kind of went from how big is this going to be to like, am I just working can I be at a point where I make a quality product with a couple of other small businesses involved right now, so and that's really where it's at. We talked about partnerships with some bigger companies at times. um it hasn't happened, and I don't, and not because it couldn't happen, but again, for me, I've realized that I have to be okay with them too, not just, okay, this is what's offered, so I need to take it. So
okay. So my next question is what lessons have you learned from each of your businesses? But I'm going to give you kind of a topic, a subtopic of business. So what life lessons do you think you've learned from any of your businesses? Maybe that's a tough one to start, but I think there are. I think there's life
I
lessons.
mean, in general, I've learned, like, from a life lesson, I've learned to listen to my gut. I'm an
Mm-hmm.
intuition kind of person. I've learned that I don't have to that maybe the person that is giving me advice doesn't know enough to give me the right advice. Like, it's, like, just because I think I have always
Just because
thought,
somebody has a title doesn't make them
doesn't
right.
mean that they're it's right, or right
Mm-hmm.
for my business, or right for me, so I think that's probably been a big thing. I've learned that I love problem solving. I love the creative process. I love the idea part of it. And I hate the day to day. Like, I hate the day to day of, hey, you got an order, like, I hate that stuff. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, learn that sometimes it's,
Friends are great.
huh?
Life lesson. Friends are awesome.
Yeah, friends are awesome. I mean, make
Lean on
connections. Like,
friends, right?
connections are so important. Yeah. So our hat evolved because of my friend from, I mean, I met him in first grade, and he's in the fishing industry, and he has gone above and beyond to help us, and but yeah, and it's just, so be open to that, like, it is kind of one of those things that it's like, I found that I feel like the world of small business and like entrepreneurship is very friendly. Like, people do want to help you, and I want to help other businesses. I mean, like, it's just so fun to watch things grow and have people succeed, way more than what I see in other, like, in other industries. It just, It doesn't feel like it's cutthroat competition in the same way. It feels like there's room for everyone, you know.
Financing lessons.
Uh, Financing is something that I still, I mean, obviously I sigh at. I think it's easy to get in over your head, but I think you also sometimes have to take risk. So it is kind of knowing, you know, what you're willing to put out there, what you're also willing to just, you know, some of our finance, some of the money that we make in our jobs goes to things, you know, so that we can build this kind of stuff. So you know, what?
And this is a later question, but I think it's appropriate now. Do you think if we would have burned the boat at any point on any of these businesses, we'd be in a much different spot with it?
Yep.
Hmm.
I do.
Yeah. Okay.
I do. I mean, bigger risk, bigger reward, but sometimes you know, we can't, I just don't know that we've been in the position to take that bigger risk.
Oh no, no one's in a position to take that risk if you're burning the boat. No one is.
Right.
It's literally stepping out on faith in yourself and the product. And yeah. Okay. What about R&D lessons? There's R&D in any business.
Yeah, so R&D means research and design, right? I love R&D. You love R&D. We love to talk
I would do that for the rest of my life if I could.
And what I found, one thing that I found about R&D, which has probably changed my some of my thoughts on business, is like it's in every kind of product or every kind of field. So it doesn't matter, you know, like if we're talking to our friends who has a, you know, a wood shop, and there's still tons of R&D in that, in what he's trying to build. And there's R&D in, you know, kombucha, and there's R&D in putting out a product, even if it's like you're not making a product, but you're assembling it and packaging it in a way. So as you can tell, I mean, like that's the stuff I get. It's super fun. And that's the kind of stuff that I love, like where I do think sometimes you can be really creative and have a little fun with it and tie it back to things you love. And it also can be frustrating, or it can be expensive. That can be expensive too, right? It's not a fast process, you know? And that's where I do feel like, I think where we're at with our businesses I'm not so much on a timeline, because I think that sometimes the process of evolving is sometimes backing off. And then someday then you just go, no, this is what I know, or whatever, like kind of letting some things, you know, sometimes when you are like really at it, you do make a decision, or you do come up with something that you have to use because you have to use it, or whatever, you know.
The timeline mandates it. You gotta go forward.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. So what about this is just a general, what lessons have you learned about just the startup process? If any. I mean, maybe you've already covered them.
No, I don't know. I mean, like from a really simple basis, like it's not hard to form an LLC. You know what I mean? Nor is it expensive. You know, like it's, you know, buy the domain name. If you're thinking about it, buy it. You know, like those kind of things are like no-brainer type of things for me. I think the startup process, again, it is kind of up to you on timelines, but you also have to hold yourself accountable if you really want something to get done. You know,
you have to be your own boss, and bosses give timelines.
Yeah, I mean, you have to come home from work and work, you know, like, so
lots of hours sometimes. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. So, and looking back at everything right now, you know, over the last 20 years of being a business person, what regrets do you have on moves you made or did not make?
I regret that I didn't go after, you know, like especially I could be, I know, a full-time speaker at this point in the game. I know I could be, you know, so.
And you know what that would have taken? Do you know the steps that would have taken and didn't do them? Or did you just not know that they were there?
No, I think what happened was that I just kind of I don't love sales. I don't like to sell myself necessarily, right?
Yeah, we're similar there. We're too.
And and I was probably worse at it then than I am now. I think I'm better at it now just because I'm a little more confident. But what happened really with speaking was that I was starting to do more and more of that, but then I got offered a full-time, not a full-time job, but a job that really took up a lot of time, and it just was like I didn't keep pursuing it in the same way. So
Okay. So I do think you're an entrepreneur at heart more than a small business owner.
yeah.
Um, in some lines, but for example, in the writing and speaking realm, I think you're a small business owner less than an entrepreneur, because in that it doesn't really fit. In product development, those kind of things, I think that's kind of your passion. So what characteristics do you think make a good entrepreneur
Oh boy. I think
that
you
that you have, to be honest?
um I think you have to I think oh, I don't know. I was gonna say I think you have to trust yourself a little bit. You have to be a little bit like, I don't care what you think. I'm gonna do this, you
Yes,
know. You
you
have
do.
to be willing to lead even if nobody's following, like, you know. So I guess maybe the better way to say that is I think there some independence is helpful. You know, I'm a pretty independent person. Um, creativity within what you're, you know, doing. It doesn't look the same for every, you know, creativity is based on kind of what you're actually doing, I think.
Mhm.
Um, uh, I think networking is super important as an entrepreneur. Like I literally today was at work. One of my colleagues was like, "You know everyone," and I was like, "Oh no, but I listen. Like I listen and I connect people whenever I can, and I get a lot of joy from that. Like being able to, you know, do that kind of thing. So, um, I don't know. Willingness to just keep trying too. Some perseverance definitely helps you as an entrepreneur, I think.
What characteristics do you wish you had more of to help
Um,
you in this realm?
yeah, I think,
Or
you
work
know,
easier, maybe not more of, but work came easier to you, maybe.
I wish I was a little more uh organized and like willing to dive into the details. I get, you know, I love big ideas. I don't like to record something that I did every day or whatever, you know. So um I I mean, I think there's a lot of things that I could be better at, right? In terms of being a business owner. But
Okay.
yeah.
Um, is starting a business or running a business harder?
Oh, I think running one is I think running one is harder. And the other thing, I mean, I think starting one is hard to a certain extent because
Definitely.
again, you have to, you know, then there's nothing, I don't know. They both have their own challenges. I think what I've thought about though, like with small business, especially as I've watched, you know, like our one friend, his business grow, is like, where's the sweet spot, right? The sweet spot is when you are finally really financially making it, but also oftentimes businesses grow to a point where they either have to be sold or they get swallowed up or whatever. Like, where is that sweet spot of I have my hands in everything I want to have them in, but and off of everything I don't want. Like,
Mm,
there's a period of growth for most businesses that is some, and I think you know, for some people it's really hard sometimes to even contain growth so that you can um, you know, have it be what you want it to be. So that makes
okay.
sense.
Um, I may have, we may have already, well, no, not really. What is there anything or things that you wish you would have known before starting maybe one of your businesses? Like, God, I would have known that. Is anything like
I mean, when
Would it
I
have made it
guess
different?
one of the things, like even honestly with the speaking and writing, it would have been nice to know, yeah, you're going to be healthy in another 12 years. You know what I mean? Like you're still going to, like some of that, again, because that business is based on really me still being here. Now I don't worry about that in the same way. It doesn't mean that I don't worry about cancer occasionally, but it's not, again, that's kind of part of that imposter syndrome in terms of, yeah, just, you know what? Go. So,
So, yeah, like let's say you're starting another Theramazing
mhm.
from scratch type of thing, and you, you're literally starting from scratch, but you know everything you know now. I'm
Mhm.
saying, what things do you think would have sped things up ridiculously?
I just think I know the process. I just don't have to like do the research so much in terms of how to establish a business or even what's, what if it was a similar business, like what to kind of focus on more, like we need a product versus this, or some of those things. And some of the things that I didn't always get told the right thing or spent too much money on whatever, maybe a logo and things like that, where I could have just, what all that. So I think that stuff I'm a lot more confident in that kind of stuff. And I think that kind of has come out too, as we've done coaches and our friends who've not owned a business before. I think sometimes, that to me is just like, yeah, we got to do this versus wait a second, um,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. And even, I mean, like you teach business law, so you can talk about this, but like a business plan, like, okay, a business plan, I think there's great value to them and you need them for a loan and things like that. But they're also complete and utter BS. They are your best guess on the day you do them. You know what I mean? And so don't be intimidated by things that people tell you. And people will try to scare you. I mean, like, because other people aren't willing to take a risk, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't. You know what I mean? Some people are meant to go work for somebody every day. Some people aren't. Yeah. And I mean, that's again, for us, that's great that we can have both, right? The stability of you doing that, because I don't ever want to have a boss again,
Right.
like ever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Besides me.
that's another episode.
So, do you see yourself, honestly, do you see yourself starting another business down the road?
No, not right now. I see myself expanding and working, like really kind of digging in and working the businesses that I have. So,
Plural.
yeah. Yeah.
You can't do all four.
Who says?
There's literally not enough time in the day, and there
Who
sure as
says?
hell isn't enough money in the world, in our finances. So what are you gonna do?
I'm not gonna, I mean, again, you can't stifle me. So I'm going to keep working at them. I don't know if I believe that. I don't know. I mean, for some of them
I,
that you
I
can't do all
just saw
four.
our taxes. There's not enough money.
Stop
I'm telling
it. No, I don't. No, I don't mean it like that. I mean,
you. Okay.
like,
I mean, do you agree or disagree with the more focus you bring to something, the more it's going to flourish?
mm, yes, I would agree with that too.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely
So
have priorities.
okay, so you only get one. What would it be?
Writing, speaking, podcasting. Like I feel like those are all one thing anyway, but
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. Right. They are separate. I mean, some people are just writers. Some
sure.
people are just speakers for sure. In your realm, or just podcasters for sure.
Hmm.
But yeah, okay,
I mean,
all
but
right.
a little kombucha would be pretty fun. We
I
make
think
good
you guys should do it. I've
we
said
make
this
great kombucha.
over
I
and over and
agree.
over.
Right. And that's the thing too. So
I am in your corner.
yeah.
I have a job though.
Yeah, that's fine. And again, those are the things where I go, like, I have learned that too. And I think I've listened to that and heard that many times over the years. And I've chose to let that slow me down. But you know what? I can run at my pace and you can run at your, and you know what I mean? You have your passions also. You're spending a lot of time on officiating, and that's fine. But it doesn't mean that I need to like not do what I want to do. So that's where I think our marriage has worked well, because we've done a very good job of supporting each other and not expecting that we have to do everything together by, you know.
And the next business, I am all in on the R&D
Perfect.
because that's what I love.
Okay.
But as much as you aren't fired up about running a business or a small business compared to the entrepreneur side, I'm 100 times that.
Yeah.
It makes me want to vomit to think that I want to have to go to work every day and make kombucha,
No, I get
or
that.
that kind of, or at 8 o'clock at night, go make 6 batches and get out of there at midnight because I have that part just makes me go, oh.
Yeah.
I love the idea.
Yeah.
I know we had a great product.
Yeah.
It wasn't perfected, but we're there
Yeah.
on that in the mass production perfection, because that is a different animal.
Yes.
But yeah, it's exciting. I mean, I can say that about every one of your businesses, to be honest with you. I think the same thing would be true in Theramazing to, attack the Finger Olympics like you did with the other stuff. And I think it would just take off, and, or any of those. Yeah. It just, that part just, it's the salesman part. And people used to say, yeah, I don't like selling things either until I believed in a product solely.
Yeah.
And then I had no problem. I'm still not there.
Yeah.
I know these are great products. I've seen the stuff you make and it produced in your business, and it's great.
Yeah.
I still don't want to sell it to anybody.
No.
I'll give it to them. But you just know that about me.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think definitely people learned a lot about you that they didn't know right there.
Okay.
That was the
A little bit
goal.
of business.
I
said a little bit of business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of bit of business. Yeah. And you're always a good story for my business law classes because you had so many. I get to tell so many stories.
My connections have, now you call them too.
Oh, it's great. Great for me, for sure. Makes me a better teacher.
Yeah. But again, like even just things like that, when I look at that, like I haven't contributed to my friend's business the way that he's contributed to mine, but I found him his accountant and he needed that badly. So again,
that's true.
We help each other. So,
yep.
All right. Well, thanks for doing another interview, and thanks for listening to another interview, people. And yeah, we're glad you're here. So we'll talk to you soon.
And anybody who wants to know something about Heather, put it in the comments or send her a message, and I will create an interview.
Yeah. All right. We'll see you later.